I've been on YouTube for over a decade now, and it's been an incredibly dynamic platform during that time. The actual interface has changed beyond all recognition. What gets traffic has changed beyond all recognition. And there has been a constant dynamic of what the actual rules and regulations are, and more importantly, how they're enforced, which has, let's just say, it's been very sporadic at times. As in, two people can do exactly the same thing. One of them will get banned, one of them won't. It does never really seem that terribly consistent. But when I logged on today, this actually popped up about advertiser-friendly content guidelines. And this is fairly recent. It looks like it's this month. So let's take a quick look at what they're saying that you should avoid if you want your stuff to be monetized. I'm not sure if from now on, normally if they just demonetize stuff, they just say not advertiser friendly, and that's it. You get basically no feedback at all about it. So I don't know if from now on they're actually going to give you categories for why stuff was demonetized. It'd be nice if they did, because a lot of the time it can be pretty cryptic. So for inappropriate language, what do we got? Profanity in the title or thumbnail image, no real great problem there. Strong profanity used repeatedly in a hateful and derogatory way. And yeah, I kind of agree with this, in that if all you're doing is basically being a jerk to someone else, I can see how you might not think that that's very advertiser friendly. In fact, it's one of these things that people often want rules about what words are you allowed to say, what words are you not allowed to say. And communication is really very little to do with the words that you actually use. It's far more about the inflection that you put on them and the body language, which you can't see at all at the moment. You know, my hands waving around, all that sort of thing. That has a huge impact on how these things are interpreted. In fact, yeah, even if just from what you're listening to now, if it's daddy saying to his son, I'm going to kill you if you do that again, or actually someone threatening to kill someone, the words are exactly the same, but the informational transfer is completely different just because the inflection in the voice and the body language and all that sort of thing. Usually I'd break it down into rough thirds. Only about a third of communication is the actual words that you're using. And so this one is borderline. Strong profanity multiple times throughout the video, even if bleeped for comedy. I'm not so sure about that. But yeah, maybe. Okay, what else we got? Violence contains gruesome, graphic, or disgusting accounts or imagery. Blood, guts, gore, sexual fluids. Don't even want to go there. Human or animal waste. Metacraw's going to have fun here, but this is just for demonetization, so it doesn't really matter. Crime scenes or accident photos. And yeah, I think I'd probably be with YouTube on that one, that it's probably not family friendly. Well, that's what they used to be. It used to be family friendly. This is just advertiser friendly now. What else we got? Accounts of shootings, explosions, bombings. Yeah, I'm fine with all that. Violence towards animals, cockfighting, bullfighting, dogfighting, raw footage of war. Yeah, I mean, for demonetization, probably graphic depictions of injury or death. And we're not talking about, no war footage on YouTube. It's just not monetized. Yeah, I would agree with that. The dramatized or fictionalized is a dodgy one. There's obviously going to be some sort of grey line here. I mean, let's do the. Did they have animals in here? Yeah, violence towards animals, and yeah, here they're doing if only dramatized. So if I beat up a fluffy doll, does that count as a dramatization of an act of violence. And again, I think it's going to be hugely context dependent in that sometimes this can be done for just pure comedy. Sometimes it can be pretty disturbing. Hunting videos, animals' death and suffering. Yeah, probably. Adult content, sexually explicit content, graphical sexual acts, or simulations intended to arouse. This is the thing. Human sexuality is such a broad book that... what else we got? Sexual explicit text, audio. So, no reading 50 Shades of Grey, girls. What? Content that may be interpreted as promoting a sexual act in exchange for compensation. Oldest profession in the world. Raw footage of explicit animal mating scenes. So now I'm curious. Is that just mating scenes of, how shall I say, mammalian type animals, you know, where, what is it called? Internal fertilization videos. Or if I have a cuttlefish that is gratuitously spawning and throwing its reproductive love juice into the water, I don't know. It's weird that they're very anthropomorphic. The rule, well, as you would expect, I suppose. It's most of the people who are watching it are kind of human, but nudity, people, or representations of people that display sexual body parts such as visible genitalia, nipples or buttocks. Again, it's so wrong when you try to actually write down specifically what the rules are. Because different people have different things that they would find interesting and not interesting. Content focused on sexual body parts that are blurred or censored. Japan. Body art focus on... Okay. Content featuring implied sexual acts. Okay. Content depicting fetishes in action or discussing fetishes. Again, the thing is, some of what people find interesting sexually is so weird. Sexual scandals, leaked intimate photos, sex toys, yada yada yada. Yeah, I don't have too much trouble with that. There's a reason why if you were to just put porn up on YouTube, that gets banned. So, having a sort of grey line around sexually suggestive content, maybe. Inappropriate pranks, challenges, dares, and stunts. Pranks relating to suicide, death, terrorism, like fake bomb scares, threats with firearms and other lethal weapons. And Dvorsky, I think wow, that wasn't even a prank. But such is, the deal when you have live streaming on your website. Sexually unwanted acts such as forced kissing, groping, or sexual abuse. Yeah, that's fine. Content that induces prolonged emotional distress of a minor. Daddy of 5, I think we're looking at there. So, I mean, I think a lot of this is they start off with an incident on YouTube that it's like, nah, we really don't want this on our site, or at least so that's weird. You could actually have content that induces prolonged emotional distress of a minor. It's just you're not allowed to monetize, or it's not monetizable. Body modification, medical procedures. What have we got? Cosmetic surgery. So this is another one that I've always found fascinating. So one of the videos I'm going to make at some point is what I look like on the inside, which, if you think about it, is even more gratuitous. I've got an ultrasound machine, and so you actually go and take a look at your internal organs with it, live if you want. But if you think about it, that's much, much more explicit than just seeing what my body looks like on the outside. You know, that would be nudity. That would be not allowed. I'm not sure whether an ultrasound of what I look like on the inside would not be advertiser friendly anyway. Pimple popping, yeah, that's just gross. I mean, it's allowed, but just not monetizable. Ingrown toenail removal, of all the weird stuff that you would actually have listed. Skin implants, I didn't even know that was a thing. Tongue forking surgery. Yeah, I can imagine. I don't want to know. Content that threatens or advocates for physical or mental harm of oneself or others. Yeah, that's kind of illegal. So you would rather hope that's not just not monetizable, but it's kind of illegal too, you know. Threatening someone with real life harm. Again, I mean, these are all hugely context dependent. Calling for attacks on another person, yeah, no real problem with that. Harm to self, harm to others. Content related to suicide, eating disorders, yeah, I'm fine with that. You don't really want people sort of capitalizing on... Yeah, basically, if you allow people to monetize this stuff, there'll be markets for this sort of thing. So I can see why they might not want that on their site. Content that promotes use of weapons to inflict harm on others. So if someone threatens to bomb another country, but again, we're not talking about getting you banned. It's just you can't monetize it. But a load of politicians, all the hoo-ha Desert Storm type stuff. Nah, arguably. Content relating to cannibalism. What the hell? Okay, that's an interesting one. It's so bizarre. Tongue forking surgery, cannibalism, dangerous acts not to be imitated. Roof topping. I'm assuming this is sort of parkour type stuff. Oh, yeah, there was another guy. Medical covered him as well. Shoe 9 or something. And that's basically all he did was drink obnoxious amounts of really nasty stuff. Failure compilations are around. Yeah, okay. Well, I mean, a lot of them are sort of, man breaking hip, that sort of thing. I didn't even know that was a thing. Subway or underground surfing. Okay, I don't even know what these are. Other challenge-based content, which if replicated may result in harm, like Fire Challenge, never heard of it. Kiki Challenge, never heard of it. Or Bird Box Challenge. Okay, I think that makes me officially a boomer, but we'll see. Promoting or advocating harmful health or medical... What? Oh, good. Yeah, fine. That... I mean, it's basically just not allowing people to monetize it. They still put it up, but promoting or advocating harmful health or medical claims or practices. Good. Finally. Yeah. Anti-vaxxers and AIDS denialists. Good. Oh, God. Nice. I'm happy about that. Non-medical... So this is bogus treatments for cancer, pray the cancer away, all that sort of thing. Actually, well... Yeah, I was about to say there's a conflict between that and what comes next. Content which implies serious medical conditions does not exist or an elaborate hoax. I think we're looking at Alex Jones there anyway. So, hateful content. Content that promotes hatred against, discriminates, disparages or humiliates an individual or group of people based on the following is not suitable for advertising. Race, ethnicity or ethnic origin, nationality, religion, disability, age, veteran status, sexual orientation, gender identity, any other characteristic associated with systematic discrimination or marginalization. Content that is satire or comedy may be exempt. Stating you're a comedic intent is not sufficient that the content may they're looking at Carl there. Just saying that it was a joke, not necessarily a get out of jail free card. But anyway, so there's some interesting stuff here. Religion claims that you can, in some cases, pray and your medical conditions will get better, which basically means, but we're not talking about banning here, we're just talking about demonetization. But you see what I mean? There is some inconsistencies here. And also the hateful content is weird in that some of these are things you can't do anything about. Your race, you can't do anything about. Ethnicity, yeah, it's kind of the race as well. Nationality, just where you're born, can't do anything. Religion is an ideology. So that's a really weird one to have in with the hateful content. You know, disability, age, you can't do anything about that. Veteran status, you know, it's historical events, you can't do anything about it. Sexual orientation, mostly you can't do it. I mean, the thing is with the sexual orientation, most people are straight, never learned to be straight. Most people are gay, never learned to be gay. So you would normally say that, yeah, can't do anything about sexual orientation, but then you get all these people with their gazillion gender identities, which they really exist, or is that just something that you made up because you didn't want to be straight or gay or whatever? So the religion's an oddball there. And in fact, you could say any other characteristic associated with a systematic discrimination or marginalization. With systematic discrimination or marginalization. So in that category, you could basically put anything, you know, whether they're Trump supporters or Hillary supporters or Brexit supporters or whatever. You know, because the thing is, once you get on to calling discrimination against a stupid idea hateful content, you might have left the path of wisdom at that point. Incidentally, I'm absolutely guaranteed within seconds of this video being uploaded that it will get hit by one of these symbols. In fact, it's going to be interesting to see which symbol it gets hit with, because you know that the very first thing that YouTube's going to do is put this thing through a voice to text filter and pass that text for how should we say, keywords like glorifying violence and hate group and all that sort of thing. So this will almost guaranteed be demonetized as soon as it's uploaded. And what was the video I put up? Oh yeah, that's right, the Free Thought Blogs video. That sort of fell into this category, and it took, you know, days before. Actually, I think it was just over a day before they decided that actually it was okay. Never found out why. Anyway, what do we got? Examples, non-exhaustive. Content that incites hatred or promotes discrimination. Well, okay, we've just had that. That's exactly what this said. Yeah, it's that exact line there. Discrimination or margin. Oh, discrimination. Okay, not quite the same. Content promotes, glorifies, or condones violence against others. Yeah, I'm not too fine with that. Content that encourages others to believe that a person is inhuman, inferior, or worthy of being hated. Would that include people who discriminate against Nazis or communists or... Anyway, yeah, so what you call a hate group here is a very fuzzy line, which is maybe best summed up in the very next point, which is promoting terrorism, violence, and violent extremism. Content made by or in support of terrorist groups. Leading to the old question. How does it feel about content made in the support of freedom fighters? You know, because basically there's really not that much difference between terrorists and freedom fighters, except whether you support the cause or don't. Content that promotes terrorism, including recruitment. I mean, as a general rule, this is fine, but you know there are very obvious shortcomings here. Incendiary and demeaning. Content that is gratuitously incendiary, inflammatory, or demeaning may not be suitable for advertising. Yeah, I've got no real problem with that. Especially once you're down to stuff like this, content that's basically bullying little kids. That's out. In fact, you would rather hope that it's not just demonetized, but yeah, it sort of gets them kicked off the platform if you just, you're some big channel just bullying some random kid at school or something. Content that suggests tragic events did not happen. Okay, that's rather specific. Or that victims or their families are actors or complicit in any cover-up. So that is basically explicitly Alex Jones. Alex Jones, but it's weird. Again, not monetizable. Doesn't say it'll get you banned off the site. Malicious personal attacks, slander, and defamation. Again, a very slippery slope, that one, in that what people call defamation and slander can basically constitute anything. Some people would take being called a Republican as defamatory and so forth. Recreational drugs. Sale of illegal drugs, regulated drugs or substances, yada, yada, yada. Yeah, I suppose. Although it's an interesting one in which country. Or even in this case, which state. If you're looking at cannabis, it's legal in some states, not in others. Videos discussing drugs or dangerous substances. It would be interesting to know if that includes wine, because wine, I think, is the second most dangerous drug by body count. Smoking, of course, is the first. But number 2 is alcohol abuse. So, of course, drinking wine tasting. Okay, hang on. Video disclosure for dangerous substances for educational, documentary, and artistic purposes are generally suitable for advertising. Oh, so wine tasting is okay, as long as it's educational. So long as the substance abuse is not graphic or glorified. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, so grade A drugs, bongs, whatever. Tobacco, number 1, killing drug, content that promotes tobacco-related products, chewing, herbal cigarettes. Oh wow, vaping's in there, e-cigarettes. That's a little bizarre. As far as I know, there are no health effects associated with e-cigarettes, apart from, of course, they make great big clouds of vapor, but beyond that, I don't, it's the bad stuff in tobacco is typically the charred products, which are sort of carcinogenic. Firearm-related content is out. Promoting the sale of a firearm, which includes basically anything. Sale of a firearm-related component, 80% finished gun parts. What? So 75% related gun parts, advertiser-friendly, 80% not. I've got no idea why the 80%. Ammunition clips, silencers, ammunition belts, stocks, conversion kits, basically anything related to guns. Instructions for guns. Oh, really? Or equipment for 3D printing of gun or gun parts. Okay. Huh. Controversial and sensitive issues. War, death, and tragedies. Interesting. So for me, I've long had an interest in World War II, and very frequently those things get demonetized. Although on appeal, quite often they come back again. But it is policy applies even if the content is purely commentary or contains no graphic imagery. Huh. So even just discussing it can be taboo. I'm curious whether that's, includes World War II, because there's a lot of graphical stuff around that, but it's now sort of largely deemed historical, and that almost everyone anyone who knows someone in those war films is dead from old age at this point. So difficult to call them sensitive. Wow, controversial issues like political conflicts, Republican versus Democrat, terrorism or extremism, again very broadly defined, and it's not exhaustive, sexual abuse, and we're almost at the end. Content that appears to be appropriate for a general audience but contains adult themes is not suitable for advertising. Again, this is what I was saying earlier, that very little, well, not very little, a modest amount of communication goes through the words that you actually say. You can imply all sorts of things through body language and inflection in the voices and the such like. Content that is made to appear appropriate for general audiences, but includes sex, violence, vulgarity. It's an interesting one. So Monty Python's Flying Circus would really come a cropper on basically all of that. In fact, sometimes not so subtly either. So that looks to be the new content guidelines. And if you really want a challenge, give me a vote on what grounds you think this video will be demonetized for. Okay, if you like that, give it a thumbs up, and I hope you enjoyed the content, and see you next time.